You know about PETA's Beauty Without Bunnies, where you can find out about cruelty-free cosmetics. A PETA activist who also owns a small vegan restaurant talks openly about one of the food industry's dirty little secrets, animal testing, on the PETA podcast with Emil Guillermo. Welcome to the PETA podcast. I'm Emil Guillermo, your host for this inside look at animal rights, brought to you by PETA, the largest animal rights organization in the world. On today's episode, PETA revolutionized the cosmetics industry when it demanded companies go cruelty-free. Is it time for the food industry to go cruelty-free? PETA discovered that popular brands like Oreos may be vegan, but there's also a cruelty component. Oreo's parent company tests on animals. It makes Oreo's parent company Mondelez the first target in PETA's Eating Without Experiments campaign, spelled EWE. Get it? U for Eating Without Experiments. Heading it up is Dr. Frances Cheng. She's chief scientist, International Laboratory Methods at PETA. But for fun, she also runs a small vegan restaurant in Cleveland Heights called Foodisattva, an Asian fusion vegan restaurant. She knows the virtues of good, clean vegan food if she can only get people to go vegan.
Everything that's on the menu has its own following. And that's one of the reasons we can't really change our menu so much anymore. Like, we used to change our menu drastically every season, but we can't really do that because people complain.
Yeah.
I would say the one dish that hasn't left the menu ever is called Bangkok tacos.
Bangkok tacos.
It's a fusion dish, right? It's an Asian fusion restaurant, right?
Yeah.
So we're introducing typical papaya salad that you can get in the Thai restaurant, but we combine that with cauliflower bites. It's breaded in curry fused batter, deep fried. So you got cauliflower bites and a bed of that salad and some sweet chili sauce on top and peanut crunch, and it's in the taco form. So without the taco shell, that ingredient for a lot of people would be too foreign to try. I mean, Clevelanders, you gotta understand, they have a very basic palate.
Yeah, yeah.
Anything too foreign, they wouldn't try. So, in order to introduce foreign flavors, we just fuse the two. I mean, they're familiar with tacos. They think, oh, tacos. Yeah. They didn't know that what's in there. It's nothing to do with the Mexican cuisine at all.
Yeah.
But they would try it. So
yeah. Just put
that's our trick.
I like what you said. The taco form. It's in the taco form. So it's just a format, right?
Yeah. It's just to get past people's initial hurdle. They're hesitance to try new things.
Yeah. But so many restaurants don't do enough to find out if the food products they use are cruelty-free. For example, Oreos. Once again, Mondelez does useless tests on mice and rats that end up with the laboratory animals dead. As Dr. Cheng puts on her science activist hat, she knows people just aren't aware of the experiments used. But now she's working to raise awareness. And I know for sure that you will not have any Mondelez products.
Oh, yeah. We are so strict about all of that. I think we're probably the only restaurant in the world that look out for ingredients and products that we source and use in the restaurant. Make sure that they're clean and not have any animal testing associated with them.
The fact that you're saying that, it's incredible that other restaurants, they don't bother, but
they don't know. This is the consumer awareness of this issue is low. Yeah, so and that's where we come in. We're trying to change that.
Yeah,
we're trying to shift the entire industry away from animal testing.
So the idea is that you're launching this campaign against Mondelez, which makes all these different kind of food brands,
Mm-hmm.
popular food
Mm-hmm.
brands like
Mm-hmm.
Oreos and Ritz crackers, and a lot of people would say,
Mm-hmm.
"Oh my God, those are my favorites. My
Mm-hmm.
Oreos they're
Mm-hmm.
vegan and I can eat them." But
Mm-hmm.
if you're vegan and you're eating Oreos because you think they're vegan, they're not cruelty free, right?
Yeah, there's many levels to that. I mean, I actually used Oreos in one of my desserts once before I knew the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, it's about consumer awareness, and once you know better, you do better or try if you have the means to do so. Yeah.
Yeah. So the company is called Mondelez, big
Mm-hmm.
company,
Yeah.
and Mondelez, Mondel, and then they have the accent over the e, or not accent, but the mark over the e, so it's a long e. Mondelez,
Mm-hmm.
Lez, Mondelez.
Mm-hmm.
They're the company that you've launched this campaign. Tell me more about Mondelez and why it's important that consumers know about what Mondelez does.
Yeah, so Mondelez is a global company. They make Oreos, Ritz crackers, Triscuits, Sour Patch Kids, lots of well-known and popular snack foods. Right? And they, over the years, we've been trying to convince them to stop contributing to animal testing. And it's been 6 years. They're not listening. So now we're telling the world about what they do. They've been funding animal testing. Some of the things that they do to these animals are just horrific. I'll describe some of those.
Yeah.
So they take feces from obese women. These feces presumably have like pathological bacterial species in them, which contributes to the obesity and the metabolic dysfunctions. It makes you sick. So they force fed these mice those pathological bacteria. And then on top of that, they fed them diet that high in saturated fat. The whole point of this is to make the animals sick, to mimic the metabolic dysfunction and obesity. And once they have the sick animals, they try to feed them fibers to see if fibers will help. We're talking about fibers from like common food, like human foods, like oranges, peas, sugar beets, barley. These are all like common human foods with a long history of safe consumption. Like there's no need to test them on animals. You can test them on animals, and it has been done for many, many years. You can test them directly on humans. Yeah, there's no need to test them on animals. You can test them on humans directly.
Taking the feces from a human, a female, and exposing that to the what is the point? What are they trying to prove? What are they trying to show?
So like this type of animal testing is borderline like curiosity driven, borderline health claims. They haven't gotten to a point where they can say that the fiber definitely helps, but they're going in that direction. So what I suspect that what they're trying to do with this is to promote their quote unquote healthy snacking agenda. They have this agenda to make their products healthier by cutting sugar level and whatnot. Eventually, what they want to do is to add fiber to their cookies or candies or whatever to make them healthier, so that people will feel more comfortable eating them and buying them.
I mean, of course, it's easy. It's an easy fix. They could just cut the sugar, or stop making their snacks more addictive, because isn't that another thing they put in the food, additives that make the taste more addictive and make people want to eat them nonstop? I mean, that's
true, but like the none of this needs to go through animals. Is the thing. Like these are products that people eat every day. You don't need to feed them to animals. And the thing is that the animals have such different physiology than humans. Like just say you wouldn't ask your dog or a cat if chocolate is good for you, because chocolate can kill them. It's toxic to them. So why would we seek answers in mice and rats?
I mean, what you're saying though is you want to test the fiber. Why don't you, if it works, if it improves health, or if it's beneficial, if you consume a lot of these snacks. Why don't you test it on actual people? Is that it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Just
exactly.
test it directly.
Yeah, exactly.
Skip the middle animal of the middle species.
Yeah, they did this to mice. They did it to rats too. And for the rats one, they actually say in the paper that they published a mixture of chips, crackers, and candies. This is the things that they said to the rats. with or without like whole wheat rusk, which is full fiber.
Yeah.
They're trying to prove that the fiber is good, but you don't need animal testing to prove that.
Yeah, and so after they've used the animals, they discard the animals. They kill them, right?
Oh yeah, most definitely.
And how many?
It's very rare for like experimenters to keep them around after they're done with them. Why just like take up space? They have to take care of them still. No, they definitely won't do that.
Yeah.
Kill them.
And so, how many of these tests? How many animals do you think were? I mean, the animals were exposed or were tested on, and nothing really resulted. I mean, they got some information, but they continued to test. They just continue to test until they find what some kind of the conclusion is. Let's put more fiber in the snacks. I guess that's what they want.
Yeah, eventually, I think that's their goal. Like they funded 6 studies so far. We don't know exactly how many. These are just 6 studies that are published and are accessible. The latest was in 2022.
And so when people understand this, what effect do you want it to have this knowledge to have on consumers? What do you want consumers to take away from this? But now that this has been exposed, because I don't think it's widely known that Mondelez does this to animals for their foods or for their products.
Right. Yeah. So the whole point of this campaign is to raise awareness that Mondelez is doing this horrible thing. And what we want more than anything is for everybody to take action on our action alert. Just with a click of a button, you can send emails to Mondelez telling them to stop this nonsense, telling them that you don't want your favorite Oreo cookies, your Ritz crackers to be tested on animals. Tell Mondelez to stop wasting money, wasting animal lives and resources.
These tests, you call them curiosity tests, meaning they're not required by law. They haven't been told, Mondelez, you must test on these animals. You have to do this. They just did it on their own accord for what? For a marketing reasons.
They call it nutritional science. It's allowed in their policy, and their policy is public. You can go read about it. It says that it allows for animal testing for advancing fundamental knowledge for nutritional science. They call it nutritional science. I call it nonsense.
Nonsense. That's pretty well. I mean, you look at these tests. They feed mice a diet high in saturated fat and low in fruits and vegetables. Right.
Yeah.
And they tried to damage their gut health. Is that it?
Yeah. Yeah. It is. So they take a species that doesn't have the same physiology as humans. So you have the wrong physiology to begin with, and then you try to artificially produce an abnormality in that animal, by like stripping their gut bacteria and then reintroducing human gut bacteria, pathological ones at that, and then fed them food that are not something that they would normally eat.
Yeah.
It's just like the wrong physiology and artificial procedure. What do you get out of that? It's a load of crap.
I mean, when you feed them barley, oranges, peas, and sugar beets, common foods, no problem there. But you feed them to a species that doesn't ordinarily eat this, they might find something. Right.
It's just all irrelevant. Yeah, they will find something, but like, what's the point of that data?
Yeah.
Apply to that animal in that condition at that point of time in that environment.
Now
it doesn't apply to humans. So
yeah,
why are you doing this?
Well, are they funded by this? This is just totally corporate money that they're wasting, right? I mean, they're not getting any funds from NIH or anything like that, are they?
I have to look into it. I just know that these studies are funded by Mondelez, but if they got some other sources of income, I don't know on top of my head.
Yeah. Well, but the idea though, if they had to fund the studies and it's a cost and it's against their bottom line, they pass off all, costs back to the consumer. So the consumer's paying for it.
I don't understand why they have to allow this type of practice. It doesn't serve them any good. And I hope that especially after we expose this, we wouldn't do them any good. And especially the regulation doesn't require of it. The FDA actually says in the regulation for health claim applications that, and I quote, like animal studies do not provide information from which scientific conclusions can be drawn regarding a relationship between the substance and disease in humans. And this is because, quote, the physiology of animals is different than that of humans, unquote. And they're absolutely right about this.
Yeah. So it just proves in their own documents, it proves how useless it is.
Yeah.
And so what should a consumer who eats Oreos, they should stop, right? People like Oreos because they are vegan, but they're not cruelty-free. Yeah.
I mean, like if you have the means to avoid products that are tested on animals, by all means do so. But I understand that it can be challenging for some people. Like say if your kids really like it, if your kids will only eat certain things, if you don't have the means to do so, I would say don't get hung up on that. You can still do good. You can still contribute to our cause to tell Mondelez to stop testing on animals without stopping to eat that Oreos.
Yeah.
But if you can avoid it, that will affect the company's income and that will hurt them even more. So I would encourage it if people can do that.
But the other thing is, if you stopped eating Oreos, if you're a vegan who ate Oreos and cited it as, well, it's the only vegan thing I can eat that's bad. Well, you do wonders for your health by not eating the Oreos, right?
I mean, like food is it's a very emotional thing. It's a cultural thing. It's an emotional thing. It's hard for some people. I don't want to undercut that. Yeah, but know better, do better. Just try your best.
And think about the rats and the mice who get tested on. Because a lot of people would say, oh, the rats and the mice. We don't care about the rats. Yes, we do care about the rats and the mice.
You don't have to care about them to know that it's wrong.
Yeah, that's true.
You don't have to love them. You don't have to like them.
Yeah.
Animal testing is just wrong.
But ultimately, you got to love yourself before you put something like that in your body. And then if you need an excuse, just think of the animals that are tested, to make these things, Ritz crackers, Oreos, and then, maybe you'll get a slice of sourdough bread or something. Or eat a vegan taco or something. I mean, there are other things to reach for, but people always reach for, well, they don't always reach for Oreos, but I mean, there are Hydrox cookies. I don't know if does Hydrox do they test? I mean, is this common? If Mondelez does this, is it because other brands do this, or do you know?
Oh, there are so many companies that test on animals. Yeah, so PETA is launching this, what is called Eat Without Experiments program. It's a program for food and beverage companies to join and pledge that they don't contribute to animal testing. It's a database where we categorize companies based on their animal testing status. And then we talk about the campaign where we target Mondelez and tell people to urge them to stop. And this whole initiative, the goal is to shift the entire food and beverage industry away from animal testing, similar to how PETA's Beauty Without Bunnies has done to the cosmetics industry. BWB, the Beauty Without Bunnies program, is so popular. People go on there to check if a cosmetic product or household product is cruelty-free or not. And that action helps that industry away from animal testing. We're hoping that the Eat Without Experiments program would do the same for the food and beverage industry. And in this industry, I think people are not aware that there are so many food companies, so many beverage companies that test on animals.
So tell me, if I just go through the things that I eat, you're saying what percentage of the time are the products they make tested on animals?
I don't know. It depends on what you eat. But right now, well, this program just started, and we have about 100 or so companies, and then about half of them are not on the good list. Now we with this program, we're much stricter. We need the company to really make the commitment, not just say whatever they want on policy and then go the other way.
Dr. Francis Cheng is Chief Scientist, International Laboratory Methods at PETA. But for fun, she also runs a small vegan restaurant in Cleveland called Foodisattva. Now she's an activist and food pro who wants consumers to be aware of eating without experiments, EWE. For more about that, go to PETA.org and find out about those Mondelez experiments. Those Oreos may be vegan, but they're not cruelty-free. For more, go to PETA.org. And that's our show for today. Thank you for listening. Don't forget to send a link of this show to your friends. Tell them you like the PETA podcast. Contact us at PETA.org. You can find me on X, formerly known as Twitter, at Emil Amok. That's EMILAMOK. Or see my vlog at amok.com. Or see my work at Patreon, patreon.com, /Emil Amok, EMILAMOK. Or on Substack.com. / Emil Amok, or see this podcast on YouTube. Yeah, YouTube at Emil Amok 1. Once again, thank you for listening. Check out all our episodes on your favorite podcast app or on Apple Podcasts, where you can subscribe to as well as rate and review the show. It helps get the word out about the issues you care about. Our music is provided by Carbon Works. Check them out on YouTube. For the PETA Podcast, I'm Emil Guillermo. Eat clean, everybody.